Hey, it's Julius Malema and welcome back to the channel. So yeah, back-to-back videos, right? Yeah, I told you I'm back for real this time. So yeah, but anyways, let's get into today's topic, which is did Mandela actually sell out? Which is like very controversial to say, because even Julius Malema has been saying for years, oh, Nelson Mandela sold out. Don't tell me about that sellout. So, but let's put it into context. What would have happened if actually Nelson Mandela didn't sell out? Think about it. Every country in Africa that got their freedom, their liberation, their independence, there was a civil war. Every one of them. South Africa is the only country that actually went to the negotiation table and actually negotiated with the supremacists. Because think about it. In 1991, 1992, like the early 1990s, there were like signs of a civil war. Like think about it, Inkatha like was killing people on the street. There was a lot of violence, and there are actually clips. Like let me show you this one clip so you can know what I'm talking about. But before we continue, shout out to today's sponsor, Quotable Auto. They sell quality and affordable used cars. What I like about them is that they are really friendly and their cars are clean. And trust me, my brother has been using that car for like 3 years and he's been bragging that their cars don't really break down. So if you wanna get a discount, just use my discount code LULAMA and you'll get a discount of 2,000 rands. You can do anything you want with that money. I mean, Christmas is coming, or you can even buy fish oil. Just call them on this number and you'll get a really good deal.
But I think that there would be very serious objection to that, and I think that it would be counterproductive, and I don't think any one of my colleagues would really like to see that happening, and nor would I.
Mr. Honey, is that true for the ANC?
Well, it is true. We certainly would oppose the declaration of a state of emergency. But at the same time, we put forward the view that the government has not taken decisive steps to curb the elements who are responsible for this violence. Certainly, it is our perception that the police are not coming out to protect affected communities.
Do you believe they could, with the power that they have now, they could stop it?
I think using the powers they have by identifying the perpetrators of violence, in the same way they identify those who carried out acts of violence against the state in the past, they would stop the violence.
There was a lot of violence on the street, and this thing, they call it black on black violence. Think about it. And even Chris Hani said it, that okay, these guys, they knew how to coil up the violence on the street, right, during the apartheid days. So why don't they do the same right now? So since it's black on black violence, they're just gonna let it happen. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. Because remember, black people were really living peacefully like before the end of apartheid, right, during the 1990s. So they were living peacefully, and all of a sudden, they were fighting on the street. So we all know that Inkatha Freedom Party was actually doing that. Because even my parents used to tell me, like, Inkatha was killing people in the trains. So it was something that was happening. So to this day, my mom absolutely fears and hates Inkatha Freedom Party. She says she'll never vote for them because she actually saw the violence with her own eyes.
So the next step is to call a meeting of Amakosi, where His Majesty Shenge and Ngamalala and myself will be present. And I am going to get in touch with His Majesty tonight to indicate to him that it is our opinion here that that meeting should be called as soon as possible.
So it's quite disturbing. So let's get to the point of Mandela selling out. What would have happened? Obviously, there would have been a civil war. Remember, even in Mozambique, there was a civil war after they got their independence. And guess who was funding that civil war? obviously Rhodesia and South Africa. So they were funding that. So you already know that these people have tactics to actually make sure that they hold on to power. So the ANC, when they saw this, was okay, a civil war is about to happen. And we've already seen other African countries try to not negotiate, chase white people away, you know, and saying, oh, okay, we are taking all the land, all the wealth and all of that. You know what will happen. So Mandela and the rest of the guys, they said, you know what, okay, we just gonna cough up the land. Let's just let them take the land. Let's save our people. It's a cowardly move, but they had no choice. But remember, these supremacists in South Africa, you might think, oh, how can you be taken over by like a few million white people? Like, no, they're not few, because remember, they have the backing of Britain, they have backing of America. So they're not really alone. They're not that few, because in Africa, they tell us, okay, white people are so few there, why have they taken over? Dude, like, these people are not few. They have the backing of other supremacists. That would actually help them. If right now we start a revolution and said, okay, white people, we are like really taking over, we're taking our land, blah, 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 sanctions, same time. Like what happened to Zim? They tried that stuff. Sanctions. It's not like Zim can't live without, you know, white tea people. They can actually live without white tea people, but, you know, sanctions, they were hit by heavy sanctions and they're kind of recovering right now. But anyways, we will see what will happen. So, Mozambique, civil war. South Africa were like, no, the civil war thing won't work for us. So Mandela, they tried to negotiate, you know, the CODESA negotiations, even though we don't know what happened during the negotiations, but I have some guesses what could have happened. Okay, the first thing they said, okay, South Africans must get free education, right? At least we must get as educated as possible. But that's why South Africa right now, our biggest budget is allocated to education, because that's why you find these kids nowadays in high school, they get tablets, they get laptops, they have smart boards, they get to eat at school. Because when we're growing up, like if you didn't have food at school, you'd starve, and most kids would drop out. So nowadays, kids don't actually drop out. You know, they don't have to go home, because in high school, during my time, when it was lunchtime, they would open the gate for you and you'd actually go home and eat. So nowadays, kids, they can actually eat at school. So education, they are putting a huge budget on education. Because in South Africa, there's no difference between going to a private school and a public school. It's literally the same thing. The kids have so many resources, textbooks, everything. They have every resource they can need to actually succeed. So education was the first thing. So that was a very good negotiation. The second thing is healthcare. South Africa, we have like free healthcare, like free. Like I was like in a car accident when I was young. I got knocked by a car on the street, and I went to hospital like for a week. I think I was in grade 5 or something. I was very young. I went to hospital for like a week. I had a cast on my leg, so I stayed in the hospital for like a week, and then they discharged me, and then I came back again after 3 weeks to remove the cast. My mom didn't pay anything. I also had a kid. Pregnancy, everything, the checkups, blah, 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 the medication. When my child was born, we didn't pay anything, like zero. While in America, childbirth, I think is like $19,000 or something like that, which is like, like almost like, how much? It will be like almost $250,000 rands. Like, that's ridiculous, just for having a kid. So I think that was also another win. So now the reason they emphasize on education, remember Mandela, Sisulu, all these guys were very smart. They were clever. Chris Hani, Jacob Zuma, very smart men. They were very smart. A smart person can take over very easily. And when you are very smart, you are very less likely to be corrupt and less corruptible, right? Because a smart person is kind of enlightened. When you reach PhD levels especially, but unfortunately most PhD people, they're like scared to lose their titles. So, but a person like me, for example, the resources that I had and I have at my disposal right now is the reason I can reach the best heights of intelligence, right? I can read books, I can go to YouTube, which if there was a civil war in South Africa right now, I don't think we would even have internet. So, you know, the resources that I have, I can be able to go to the internet, do research, read books, go wherever I want, I can travel, all those advantages, right? Not disadvantages, advantages, right? They kind of make us have a big advantage. Because remember, if right now education is like this, remember after 50 years, what will happen to South Africa? We will probably have the smartest people on earth, because if you overemphasize on education, because America, unfortunately, they overemphasize on military. When you overemphasize on education, you won't even need a military. You can outsmart your opponent. Literally, like, you can actually do that. So my opinion, and in conclusion, like, I think Mandela did a good thing by actually setting out, because right now we wouldn't have what we're having. Unfortunately, our pride as South Africans, right, is been stripped away. We have no pride, we have no wealth, we have no land. But baby steps. That's why Mandela said the struggle continues, because those guys did their part. They tried, and unfortunately, you know, the supremacists had the military, they had the brains, because what they do, they infiltrate, they fund people, rebel groups to actually destabilize the country. So I think Mandela did the best he can do. Like, he wouldn't have done much better than that. He knew what would happen. Maybe he would have been assassinated by now, but he's the most celebrated person around the world. I mean, there's Mandela Day, International Mandela Day. That's the only holiday that I know is being celebrated around the world, and it's of a black person, which is really commendable, and we should take him at the higher esteem. I mean, he sold out. So what, man? We are living better now, and we have a chance to actually move forward and continue with this legacy. Don't be lazy, man. Don't expect Bo Mandela to do everything for you. You have a chance right now to actually do something. So yeah, that's the conclusion. So guys, if you like the video, just slap a like on it. Disagree, just disagree on the comment section. All my social medias at Lulama Anderson. Sharp, sharp.